Go. Welcome to Assembly Summer. I'm ZhuGeLiang, and with me is Liquid uThermal. We've been playing in the ASUS ROG tournament, and you dropped out yesterday. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those games?
I think it went pretty well, honestly. Like, I had a really hard group. Like, Neeb and Solar are not people I expect to beat these days. And against Namshar, I have a good record, and that's exactly how it went. I 2-0 Namshar. I got 2-0 by Solar and Neeb. Against Solar, was pretty close. Like, my TVZ got a bit better the last few weeks, so I could have beaten him, but it went about as I expected.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the hardest groups, if not the hardest. So I just want to plug a funny note. Back in the days, there was this guy called Clutch. He was the announcer for a WCS tournament, and he once pronounced your name uThermal. And it's basically Luther without the L, with Mal in the end. How do you like that pronunciation?
It's the worst one. Because, I always complain when people write my name with a big U, right? And if you say Uther, that's exactly what it would sound like if you would write it with a big U. So Uthermal is like everything I hate about it, basically. Like, it's the worst one.
Okay, I see. Very funny. So, continuing on funny notes. Recently, as you can see, Marvel has sponsored Team Liquid. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpowers?
I get angry when I lose.
Like really angry.
I like Hulk, but then Mad Mark instead of Hulk.
Okay. What color would you turn into?
Bright red. Like.
You've given up to 3,000 euros of prize money for Thermi Cups, which are local tournaments in the Netherlands. Yeah. So why do you? Okay, sorry. Let's do this again. The struggle. It's like when you pause the game and then you continue and everything's out of order. Okay. So Mark, you're one of the most charitable players in the community. You've given up to 3,000 euros to local tournaments called the Thermi Cups. So what do you think is the motivation behind doing this? Do you just love your local scene a lot?
Yeah, so first of all, I really like to see new heroes and players you don't always get to see. Like things like the Bulgarian StarCraft League and even the Pro StarCraft League for Australia, those kind of things. I really like watching those because personally the EU pros, for me, especially as a European, I see them all the time. They're in this tournament, they're in every tournament, Challenger, whatnot, right? So for me, it's really cool to see new players, and I really love local scenes for that reason, and especially my own, of course. So lately, the LAN scene has been tuned down a little bit. So not as much prize money. They're not happening as frequently. So I decided it was the right time to use my own initiative and make the Thermi Cups and stuff. So yeah.
Sounds great. So the follow-up question is: are you proud of some of the players who have benefited from the tournament, like Marsman and Agaham? Are you proud of their skill level? Do you think they could be better?
They could be better. I think Agaham is a good example. He's the poster boy for the success of the Thermi Cups because I always thought he was a really talented player, but he quit for a while, and now I feel like he's playing again mostly because of the Thermi Cups and stuff. So that makes me really happy to see, and he's become a top 3 player in the Netherlands now. So I can't complain about him, but the rest can surely practice a bit more. Most of them are still slacking a lot, I think. Just like WoW Classic is coming out, and they're all talking like, "Oh, we're gonna grind it all night," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, boys, StarCraft, right?" But yeah, I think it's going pretty well, and a lot of them are coming back to play at least. So it's a good start for me.
That's great to hear. So let's talk about your crowning achievement, IEM Shanghai. That was a really difficult tournament to win. Personally, I was really happy to see you win that because I know how much you've struggled as a pro gamer throughout the years. How much do you cherish that win, and are you confident to grab another victory like that sometime in the future before StarCraft 2 maybe ends?
Well, I cherish it a lot now, especially because honestly, at the time, I rose kind of fast, right? Like I feel like all the years back then, it went very slow. Like I remember 2013, I got my first Challenger. In 2014, I got my first Premier. 2015, I got my first top 8. And it seemed to go very slow. And in 2016, I just won an event like that. And at the time, I was at a really good skill level. Like it wasn't just the IEM. I remember I was the first player to reach 7K on any server. And because of those things, it seemed so natural that I would just win more events. So at the time, even though it was really big, it didn't feel as great as it does now, because back then I actually felt like I was going to win a lot more, and then it never happened again. So right now I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's the biggest thing I've done, and it's really huge. And honestly, because of my skill level right now, I'm not confident now to grab another trophy. So it's very possible that this will be my last Premier Championship. So I'll probably cherish it a lot forever, I think.
Cool. So you've pointed out really insightfully that the foreign tournaments are disadvantageous for Terrans. Like they're really good for Zergs who have reactive play styles, who can just play the same build over and over. But for Terrans who have to do preparation, it's not that great.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I feel like Terran gameplay, it benefits a lot from surprise. So for example, the GSL, I think that's a better format for Terran than for Zerg, for example, because you will not often see Zergs that have like a surprise build. They just do their macro build, and sometimes they throw in all in, but usually they just react what they see, and that's it. And Terrans is like, it's kind of with the proxy 2x as well, it's way better if you know where your opponent scouts. And there's so many builds, like, you know, for example, against Zerg, you can make Liberator, you can do Hellion Drop, you can open Viking, Banshee, but it all works better if you know what's good against your opponent and they don't know what's coming. And in an open tournament like this, you always see like Terrans get far. Like lately, we have had like 3 Terrans top 8 in WCS or whatever, but they never make it to the final stretch, and that's just, I think like they get figured out, and if they know what you do as Terran, it's really hard to play. So for that reason, I think WCS is not a good circuit to play in as Terran, and the GSL on the other side is a very good circuit to play in as Terran.
All right, that's a great answer. So what about after StarCraft 2 ends, say after 2020? StarCraft 3 doesn't come out, maybe Blizzard stops after the golden 10 years.
Yeah.
What would be your plans? What subjects would you be interested in studying in university, for example?
Well, I always thought I would study, but now I'm not sure anymore. Like I wouldn't mind to stay in esports, but at the same time, for example, I wouldn't like to be a caster, but I would like to, like if I had to work in management in TL, that'd be nice, or even have my own team, that'd be nice, or things like that. I think that's really cool. Running my own tournaments is a big passion of mine. My father always sees it in me when I run the Thermi Cup. I'm so excited about everything. Like I really think it's really fun to do. I'm really excited and passionate about everything, so that's something I would like to do. And I could potentially play other games as well. Honestly, I mean, no disrespect, but I feel like the games are getting easier and easier, right? Like a lot of the games that are coming up as esports right now, like I don't think it would take as much time as StarCraft to get good at all. Like StarCraft is a game now, and if you haven't been playing from the start, you're probably not going to be a pro. Like we all know that, right? But a lot of the new games, like I'm just gonna call it Overwatch, for example, or Hearthstone, like those games are kind of easy, I think. So I think it's pretty possible that even if I quit StarCraft now, I could probably be pro in another game by a year or a year and a half. So that's a possibility too. And I mean, it has to be soon because, of course, I don't think I could be a pro gamer when I'm 30, right? But those are things I'm considering to do. And I don't know about study yet. These days you can study even if you're 55, I think. So I think I can decide later when I want to do that. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're going to be great as a tournament organizer, have a bright future in that. And with that, let's end this interview. Thanks.